The film follows Lo Blacklock, a sharp-wit but emotionally fragile investigative journalist who is struggling to cope after witnessing a murder during her last assignment on NGOs which resulted in the death of one of her sources. Her editor Rowan suggests she take some time off, but Lo decides to accept what she views as a soft assignment, covering a glamorous fundraising gala aboard the super yacht Aurora Borealis. The yacht belongs to billionaire Richard Bulmer, who is establishing a foundation in the name of his terminally ill wife Anne Lyngstad, a Norwegian shipping heiress. The trip is presented as a luxury cruise for a small group of high-profile board members and friends, including the smooth-talking Adam Sutherland, art gallery owner Heidi He Thorley, and Lo's unwelcome ex-lover Ben Morgan, a former journalist now working in public relations. The guest's snobbish yacht etiquette and a general air of privileged self-absorption clash with Lo's cynical journalistic instincts. Upon boarding, Lo settles into her cabin, which is next door to an empty guest room, cabin 10. That evening, after a bizarre dinner introduction with the guests, Lo is summoned to meet Anne Lyngstad in the yacht's library. Anne, visibly frail and weakened by her stage 4 leukemia, confides that she has stopped all her medication and wants to talk to Lo about her planned gala speech. Anne speaks of settling up and putting back what she and Richard have taken, suggesting the foundation is a form of atonement. She is evasive and seems troubled, and the conversation is cut short when she becomes too weak. Later that night, unable to sleep, Lo is approached by Ben, who tries to reconcile. As they talk, a noise and a light from the neighboring cabin 10 distract Lo. She glances out her own balcony and sees a blonde woman in a hoodie on the empty cabin's balcony before hearing a loud splash. Convinced someone has fallen overboard, Lo immediately alerts the crew and captain. The entire yacht is mobilized in a man overboard (MOB) search. However, the crew reports that a full head count shows all guests are accounted for, including the male guest who was mistakenly checked into cabin 10, Lars Jensen, who had been asleep with his wife and therefore did not see anything. When Lo insists that the person she saw must have come from cabin 10, the chief steward Carla informs her that the guest who was supposed to be in that cabin cancelled 2 days ago and the room was empty. Lo is brought to the cabin and finds it meticulously clean with no evidence of anyone having been there. Lo, distraught, insists she saw a woman, but her claims are dismissed. The captain cancels the mayday and Richard Bulmer and the others treat her with a patronizing pity, suggesting her recent trauma has caused her to imagine things. The crew is instructed to keep cabin 10 out of bounds until they reach port. Lo refuses to accept the official story. She begins her own secret investigation. She finds a clue, a single long strand of blonde hair stuck in the shower drain of cabin 10, proving someone was in the room. This discovery fuels her suspicion that a person fell overboard and the crew is covering it up. Her search for evidence is hampered as the internet goes down, cutting her off from the outside world. Lo confronts the passengers and crew with her discovery. Richard Bulmer, appearing sympathetic, gathers the crew to let Lo look at them, but she doesn't recognize anyone. When she asks about the Chief Technology Officer, CTO, who wasn't present, Richard dismisses it, noting the CTO is a man and Lo is looking for a woman. Lo then visits Anne again, but Anne is noticeably distant and claims to be too weak to continue their conversation, leaving Lo frustrated. Lo then runs into Ben and realizes he was taking photos with his analog camera when they arrived. She quickly snatches the camera, desperate for visual evidence. Looking through Ben's pictures, she finds a photo of the blonde woman she saw, confirming the woman's existence. When Lo shows the photo to the others, they claim not to recognize her, but Lo points out that Adam Sutherland is in the photo and he feigns ignorance. Richard then reveals that Ben had told him about Lo's recent traumatic experience, further cementing the idea that her memory is unreliable. Richard offers to have his head of security, Sigrid, try to identify the woman, and he condescendingly books Lo a spa appointment for something soothing. During her spa treatment, as she showers off a mud mask, Lo sees someone write a message on the steamed-up glass: "You're not crazy." When she bursts out of the shower, the attendant Carla is there but claims to have only come in to retrieve towels. Lo notices a towel is missing. Her paranoia spikes and she tries to look at the CCTV, only to be told the cameras are turned off when high-profile guests are on board to help them relax. She also finds a cigarette butt in cabin 10 which she had seen the woman smoking, but it vanishes before she can show anyone. Lo believes she is being gaslit. Finally, Ben warns her to stop her investigation. He admits he was worried about her and tried to call her to warn her, but the call was to warn her about his presence, not the boat itself. He advises her to just try and enjoy her break as they are stuck on the yacht for the next 48 hours. Lo, however, knows she cannot stop, not when she knows someone's life is at stake. Lo Blacklock's investigation into the missing woman and the crew's suspicious behavior continues to spiral, forcing her ex-lover Ben Morgan to reluctantly promise his help. He agrees that if the security team led by Nilsson cannot find the woman, and Lo still feels the same when they dock, he will accompany her to the police to report a missing woman. He cautions her, however, that the passengers are powerful people and pushing her accusations further on the yacht is dangerous. The passengers continue their revelry, seemingly oblivious to Lo's distress. Lo observes them trying to piece together the truth. She runs into Grace in the spa, who hints that she is merely a paid companion to Lars Jensen and gives an ominous warning not to pry too much into the guests' lives, especially Richard Bulmer and Anne Lyngstad, cryptically suggesting a dangerous side to Anne. During a formal dinner, Richard gives an emotional speech praising Anne's strength and vision for the foundation before Anne is forced to retire due to weakness. Lo, unable to let go of her suspicions, tries to question the stewards, showing them the photo of the missing woman and asking about the ease of smuggling someone aboard, but they refuse to answer, citing the owner's wishes. As Lo is alone on a deck, she is suddenly pushed into the pool and the hydraulic cover slams shut, trapping her. She screams for help and the crew rescues her, but the immediate consensus among the passengers and crew is that she fell in by accident. Lo insists she was pushed, but the captain again claims she was alone on the deck. Lo's attempt to retrieve the evidence, the blonde hair and cigarette but she had hidden in her wet jacket, fails as the jacket has been sent to be laundered and the evidence is gone. She lashes out, accusing Ben of exposing her secret about the hair, and he admits to telling the others that she had evidence in an attempt to defend her against their claims of her being unstable. Richard's musician friend Danny becomes unnerved by the escalating chaos and asks to be allowed to disembark, further isolating Lo. Desperate and paranoid, Lo wanders the yacht. She is then confronted by the missing blonde woman in a hidden section of the yacht. The woman is alive and frantically tells Lo, "He'll kill you. You need to stop. And he will kill you," before she is interrupted by the appearance of another person. Lo, confused, follows the woman to a laundry or storage room and is stunned to see the woman in her blonde wig and makeup applying the same dark red lipstick she had seen on Anne Lingstad. The truth is revealed. The woman is Carrie and she is the one who has been impersonating Anne Lingstad. Lo realizes that Anne must have been the person who went overboard that night. Carrie confesses that Richard Bulmer had approached her through Facebook, paying for her to attend a party where he could photograph her and later for her to pose as Anne to meet with lawyers and sign a new will. Carrie explains she didn't know Richard intended to kill Anne. She was only meant to impersonate her for one day. Lo deduces that Richard had known Anne was planning to disinherit him and that he was the voice she heard in the empty cabin that night talking to Carrie about the plan. Lo convinces Carrie that Richard will never let her go after the will is signed, as she is a witness to murder. She urges Carrie to work with her. Carrie explains that she is desperate for the money for her daughter and that she is an accomplice fearing prison and losing her child. Lo promises to get to her, urging her to play along until the will is signed, as Richard needs her alive until then. Meanwhile, Dr. Mehta and Richard discuss Lo's disruptive behavior. Richard is furious and instructs his head of security Sigrid to search for Lo and get rid of her. Dr. Mehta is initially resistant to Richard's brutality, but Richard reminds him that he helped cover up a past incident that would have sent the doctor to prison, forcing him to comply. As the yacht drops anchor, the passengers are preparing to leave for the gala. Ben, worried about Lo, returns to her room and is attacked by Dr. Mehta, who is revealed to be Bulmer's hired muscle. Lo, who has been hiding in a storage area, is found by Dr. Mehta but manages to stab him with a syringe, giving her a chance to escape. Ben is killed during the struggle, but not before screaming at Lo to get the truth out. Lo jumps into the freezing water to escape Dr. Mehta. Lo makes it to the shore and rushes to the gala. She interrupts Richard's speech, publicly revealing that she has a copy of Anne's original speech, which outlines her intent to disinherit Richard and transfer control of her family's legacy to an independent party. The disguised Carrie, playing the part of Anne, surprises everyone by confirming Lo's statement. When Richard confronts Carrie, he calls her an imposter, unwittingly confirming the real Anne's death and Carrie's deception. A violent confrontation ensues. Richard, armed with a knife, tries to take Carrie away, but the other guests, witnessing his increasingly deranged behavior, start to intervene. Richard ends up in a final confrontation with Lo and Carrie. As he is about to attack Lo, Carrie and Lo work together to kick Richard off the cliff and onto the waiting rescue boat, where he is subdued by the crew. In the aftermath, Lo has written a successful exposé that credits Carrie, using the alias Miss Lingstad's assistant, with providing the crucial evidence to expose Richard Bulmer, who is arrested for Anne's murder and Ben's death. Carrie's daughter is taken in by the Lingstad Foundation. Lo is praised by her editor for her work, which is described as a human story for inhuman times. Her journalistic career is resurrected and she seems to have found a measure of peace. However, as she sits in the office, she hears the distinct four-note sound from the yacht's comms system and is briefly haunted by the possibility of not having escaped the ordeal entirely, leaving the question of whether she is truly safe and sane lingering in the air. If you enjoy watching this video, then subscribe to Angel Recaps for the latest movies explanation.